You're listening to Psych to Parent, where we turn brain science into tiny wins at home. I'm Dr. Amy, your not-so-typical school psychologist, mom of two, and endurance athlete. I love a good data set and a diagnostic manual. But I also forget permission slips, overthink IEP emails, and occasionally replay the moment I snapped at my kids in the car. In other words, I'm in the messy middle with you, not above it. This show is for parents of big feeling, big thinking kids who are tired of vague advice and Pinterest perfect behavior charts. Each episode, I'll pull back the curtain on what I see in real evaluations, school meetings, my private practice, and my own kitchen, and translate the research into simple scripts, tiny routines, and nervous system friendly tweaks you can actually use. Think of it as a nervous system rehab meets mindset coaching meets a smart, slightly spicy, non-judgy friend in your earbuds. We'll take one real life challenge at a time and shrink it down into 1 or 2 tiny wins you can start this week. No perfection, no 47-step sticker systems, just small, repeatable shifts that add up over time. Quick legal-ish note in plain English. This podcast is for education and support. It's not therapy, it does not create a clinical relationship, and it's not a substitute for personalized medical or mental health advice. If you're worried about your child's safety or mental health, or your own, please reach out to a trusted professional. Okay, deep breath, drop your shoulders. You're not behind and you're not alone. Let's get psyched to parent. Before we get into this episode, I want to tell you where this is coming from. This morning, I spent about 3 hours doing a long run hike as part of my training for an endurance event that's coming up later this month at the end of June. And when you're out there moving for that long, your brain has a lot of time to wander and drift. You think about your pace, your legs, whether or not you brought enough water and pickle juice, because yes, I love pickle juice. Why one tiny rock in your shoe can suddenly become your entire personality. And somewhere in all of that, I kept coming back to this idea of inclusivity. One of the places where I see inclusivity in action is as I train to be a push athlete with the Kyle Peace Foundation. There is something about a start line that gets me every time. The noise, the nerves, the people adjusting their gear, the last minute bathroom line, because of course. And when you're a push athlete, the whole point is that the start line and the finish line are not reserved for one kind of body, one kind of athlete, or one kind of story. The message is this: you belong here too. You get to show up. You get to be seen. You get to move forward. You get to cross the finish line. And that matters to me because inclusivity is not just a nice word. It is a practice. It is access. It is dignity. It is saying, we are going to figure out what support makes participation possible. And last night, while I was scrolling Instagram, I saw something from Sarah Wiles, who is a native Florida mom, just like me. And her message about being an ally really stuck with me. It reminded me why Pride Month makes me happy. Not because every conversation is easy, not because everyone knows exactly what to say, but because at its best, Pride Month is a reminder that people deserve to be seen, heard, loved, protected, and included. And here's something I believe so fully in my heart. There is always room at the table for one more. Always. The door is open, even if you were not invited. And here's a little Easter egg for my Tampa people. If you see me out in the wild this month, come say hi. I may be perusing the aisles at the grocery store, looking for answers to the eternal question of, what can I make my kids for dinner that will not result in some sort of stage mutiny over chicken for the 4th night in a row? Or I may be finding deep spiritual relief in the aisles of Target, enjoying the quiet and solitude, like it's a wellness retreat with fluorescent lighting. But if you see me, I'll be carrying rainbow pins. Come say hi and I'll give you one. Not because a pin fixes everything, it doesn't, but because sometimes tiny signals matter. Sometimes a kid, a parent, a teacher, a neighbor, or a stranger needs one small reminder that there are people who believe them. You are safe here. You matter here. There's room at the table for you too. And that is where this episode is coming from. Welcome back to Psych to Parent. I'm Dr. Amy, and in this episode, we are talking about Pride Month, LGBTQ plus youth, and how parents can stay connected when kids ask big questions. And I want to name something carefully right from the beginning. This episode is not intended to be a political episode. Not because I'm afraid of hard conversations. Friend, I have them all day, every day in my practice. Not because I think we should avoid things that matter, because I do not believe that who a child loves, how a child understands themselves, or whether a child deserves safety and belonging should be treated like a political debate. To me, this is about humanity. It is about dignity. It's about kids knowing they are loved. It is about parents having the tools to stay connected instead of panicking. So today, we're not going into internet argument mode. We're going into safe adult mode. Maybe your child is LGBTQ+. Maybe your child is questioning. Maybe your child has a friend who came out. Maybe your child saw a rainbow flag and asked, what does pride mean? Maybe your child is not LGBTQ+, but you want them to grow up as an ally, an advocate, a safe friend, and a kind human. All of that belongs here. And the goal today is simple. The goal is not perfection. The goal is an open door. Let's start with the parent nervous system here, because sometimes a child asks a question that is technically only 7 words long, and your body responds like you have been asked to defuse a bomb while also making dinner and remembering whether or not tomorrow is pajama day at camp. Your child might say, what does pride mean? My friend is gay. My friend uses they, them pronouns. Can you call me something different? I think I might like girls. I don't really feel like a boy. I don't really feel like a girl. And your brain opens 32 tabs and all the questions come in at once, like, what does this mean? What do I say? What if I say the wrong thing? What if I make it worse? Why didn't they tell me sooner? What does school know? What do their friends know? And listen, your first feeling is not the whole story. You may feel surprised. You may feel protective. You may feel confused. You may feel scared. You may feel awkward. You may feel left out if you realize your child told friends before they told you. That does not automatically make you unsafe. But what we do with those feelings matters. Because when parents feel panicky, we often do one of a few things. We overtalk, we shut down, we interrogate, we correct, we rush into problem solving, or we accidentally make the child manage our feelings. And then suddenly this tender conversation, this vulnerable moment becomes a courtroom cross-examination before dinner. And my friends, that is not the vibe we're going for. So before we even talk about what to say out loud, here is the first internal script. My child is not the threat. This is a tender conversation. Let me say this again. This is really important. My child is not the threat. This is a tender conversation. That one sentence can buy you just enough space to choose connection over panic. Let's talk about the brain science and the why underneath the reaction. Here's the brain-based piece. When we feel uncertain, scared, surprised, or out of control, our nervous system can register that uncertainty as a threat. And when threat goes up, flexible thinking goes down. This is true for kids, and is also true for adults. That is true for parents who deeply love their child and still suddenly feel like their good parent brain has temporarily left the group chat. So if your child brings you something tender about identity, orientation, pride, pronouns, a friend, or themselves, they may be listening for more than the answer to the literal question. They may be listening for, do you tense up? Do you mock this? Do you make a face? Do you change the subject? Do you stay kind? Do you get curious? Do you still see me as good? That last one is the big one. Do you still see me as good? And I want to be very careful here. I'm not comparing LGBTQ plus identity to dysregulation. Identity is not a meltdown. Sexual orientation is not a behavior problem. Gender identity is not dysregulation. But many parents of big feeling kids understand the shame question. So let's frame it from this perspective. Think about a child after a huge meltdown. Once their nervous system comes back online, what often shows up? Shame. Am I bad? Are you mad? Did I ruin everything? Do you still love me? And part of our jobs as parents is to communicate, you are not bad. We're going to figure this out. I am still here. Kids can have similar shame questions around identity, orientation, belonging, or difference. Am I bad? Will you still love me? Can I tell you the truth? Do I have to hide this part of me to stay connected to you? This is why our response matters so much. not because we need to know everything, not because we need a perfect speech, but because kids are building a map of who is safe to come back to. I want home to be one of those places. Let's put the school psych lens on this for a few minutes. I want to share this research with you, not to scare you, but to inform you. Knowledge is power. And when we understand what some LGBTQ plus kids may be carrying, we are less likely to minimize it and more likely to become part of the protection. Now, the Child Mind Institute says this very clearly. Being LGBTQ plus does not cause mental health problems. Again, let me say this, it's really important. LGBTQ plus kids and identifying that way does not cause mental health problems. The increased risk comes from what LGBTQ plus kids may experience around them, including rejection, bullying, discrimination, violence, lack of support at home or school, lack of supportive mental health care, and being addressed by the wrong name or pronouns. Friends, that distinction matters. LGBTQ plus identity is not the problem. The problem is what happens when kids are rejected, shamed, isolated, targeted, erased, or left alone with something tender. The Trevor Project did a poll in 2024 with 18,000 LGBTQ youth between the ages of 13 to 24. In that poll, 66% reported recent anxiety symptoms, 53% reported depression symptoms, 39% said they had seriously considered suicide in the past year, and 12% said they had attempted suicide. Take a breath. Those numbers are heavy. And the point is not to panic. The point is protection, because protective factors matter too. The Child Mind Institute goes on to name unconditional love and support at home as the biggest protective factor for LGBTQ plus kids. Other protective factors include things like supportive adults, affirming healthcare, supportive school policies, and being able to safely use a name and pronoun that matches the child's identity. So parents are not powerless. Your relationship matters. Your home matters. Your words matter. Your repair matters. Your ability to stay in the room matters. And if your child is not LGBTQ+, this still matters because your child may be the friend someone tells first. Your child may be the cousin who hears something tender. Your child may be the teammate in the locker room. Your child may be the group chat bystander. Your child may be the kid in the hallway when someone uses a slur. So this is not only about what if this is my child, it's also about what kind of human am I raising? What kind of friend am I raising? What kind of bystander am I raising? What kind of ally am I raising? That's not extra, that's parenting. Now here's a school translator myth. If your child is avoiding school, melting down after school, changing friend groups suddenly, reports teasing, feeling unsafe in certain spaces, or telling you adults are not responding when kids are using slurs or making comments, that is data, not drama, data. The National Association of School Psychologists notes that school-based supports for LGBTQ plus youth matter, especially when we think about concerns related to things like harassment, truancy, dropout, suicide, and family discord. The National Association of School Psychologists, or NASP, also frames school mental health staff as advocates who can provide counseling and support to foster resiliency. So if you need to reach out to school, you can be collaborative and clear. Here's a script you can borrow from me. Hey, Counselor Sunshine, I'm reaching out because my child has shared some concerns about feeling unsafe or uncomfortable at school related to identity, peers, or belonging. I'd like to understand what you're seeing and talk together about how we can support safety, connection, and access to learning. Could we set up a time to talk? And in the meeting, use 3 questions. What is my child reporting at home? What are you seeing at school? What is one support we can put in place this week? That is collaborative advocacy. It's not attack mode, not panic mode, but it's also not silence. Your child's safety and belonging are not extra. They are part of access to learning. Now let's talk about what this looks like in real life. Let's make it real. This is an example from a parent I've worked with, and I've mixed it up a bit to protect the personal details. Let's imagine a parent named Dana. Dana is in the kitchen doing the after-school shuffle. There's a backpack on the floor, one shoe's off in the hallway. The dog is barking at absolutely nothing. Who knows? Maybe like an Amazon truck drove by. Somebody needs to be at practice in 22 minutes, and the Is It Cake episode that's currently on isn't going to be over for another 30. Dinner is not dinnering, and Dana's phone buzzes. It's another parent. And the message says, "Hey, just wanted you to know my kid said your child is going by a different name with some friends. I wasn't sure if you knew." And Dana freezes. Not because Dana does not love this child. Dana loves this child fiercely. But in this moment, Dana's nervous system goes, "This is big. I'm behind. I don't know what to say. Why didn't my kid tell me? What if I mess this up?" And this is the moment Dana could let panic drive the conversation. Dana could walk into the living room and say, "Why didn't you tell me? Are you sure? Who told you this? How long has this been going on? Do you understand what this means?" And those questions may come from love. They may come from fear. They may come from wanting to protect. But to the child, they may land like, "You are in trouble. You disappointed me. You are now a problem to solve." So Dana pauses. Maybe not with perfect breathing techniques and a candle and a sound bath. Maybe Dana just puts both feet on the kitchen floor and thinks, "My child is not the threat. This is a tender conversation." And then Dana says to the child, "Hey, I heard something today, and I want to ask you about it in a way that makes you feel like you're not being cornered. If you're using a different name or thinking about your identity, I want you to know that I love you. I may have questions. I may need to learn, but I'm really glad to know more about who you are." And maybe the child says, "Never mind, forget it," because kids can feel our energy. They know when we're trying to be calm, but our forehead is doing that whole like full spreadsheet kind of thing. It's all squishy and scrunchy. So Dana doesn't chase. Dana does not turn it into some sort of cross-examination. Dana says, "Okay, we don't have to do this all right now. I just want you to know the door's open. I love you. I'm learning, and you are not in trouble." Friends, that is the episode. Not a perfect speech. That's the open door and leaving it open for our kids. This is where I want to slow down and think about what the moment might be communicating. Let's have a big feeling kid reframe and what this moment might be saying. This is where I want us to slow down and think about what the moment might be communicating. If a child asks about pride, they may be asking, "Is difference safe to talk about in our family?" If a teen mentions a friend's pronouns, they may be wondering, "Are you someone I can talk to about my people?" If a child comes out to you, they may be asking, "Will you still love me when you know more of me?" If a child tells friends before they tell you, they may not be trying to hurt you. They may be practicing. They may be scared. They may be protecting the relationship because it matters so much. Now, the Child Mind Institute notes that many young people come out to their friends first and recommends that parents try not to take that personally. The Child Mind Institute also recommends letting the child take the lead when telling other family members and keeping the communication open. That privacy piece matters. Supporting your child does not mean grabbing the microphone. It does not mean telling grandparents before your child is ready. It does not mean emailing every teacher with every detail. It does not mean posting something online because you're proud. Support sometimes means protecting the story. It means asking, who knows? Who do you want to know? Who feels safe? Do you want help telling someone, or do you want to tell them yourself? Because this is your child's story. They deserve some control over how it is told. And yes, if safety is at risk, adults need to act. But even then, we can say, "I want to help keep you safe, and I also want to respect your privacy." Let's talk about who needs to know, what they need to know, and how we can share the smallest amount of information needed to get you support. That's partnership. That's advocacy. That is keeping the door open. Okay, friends, here are some parenting scripts that you can try. We want to keep them simple and borrow them from me. Now remember, these are not magic spells. There's no perfect sentences. They're just starting points. Script number 1. If your child asks, "What does pride mean?" You can say, "Pride is a time when LGBTQ plus people and the people who love them celebrate being able to be themselves. Some people have had to hide who they are and who they love. And pride is one way people say you belong." For a younger kid, pride is about celebrating that people and families can be different, and everyone deserves kindness and respect. And then stop talking. I say that with love, friend. Sometimes we panic and give a dissertation when our kid literally asked for one sentence. Script number 2, if your child comes out to you, you could say, "Thank you for trusting me with that. I love you. I may not know exactly what to say yet, but I'm really glad you told me." You start with safety, not saying something like, "Are you sure? How long have you known?" Safety first, questions later. Script number 3, if you feel surprised and your body is doing some sort of thing, "I'm noticing I have a lot of feelings right now. And I don't want to make those your job. I love you, and I'm going to keep learning." That one is for parents whose face is not cooperating. Because sometimes your words say, "I'm fine," but your eyebrows are filing a formal complaint. Name it without dumping it on your kid. Script number 4, if you need to repair, you can say something like this: "I've been thinking about what I said earlier. I don't think I handled that the way I wanted to. I'm sorry. I'm listening. And I want you to know you are safe with me." Repair is a relationship skill. And if you have older kids, repair may be the whole intervention. You can be learning and still be loving. You can be uncomfortable and still be respectful. You can be scared and still be safe. You can need time and still keep the door open. All right, let's talk tiny wins. Remember, pick one, one is enough. Here are a few tiny wins to try this week. Remember, this is not homework, not a test, not do all these by Friday or you're failing. Tiny win number 1, try one sentence of visible safety. You can say something like, "In our family, people are allowed to be who they are." Or, "In our family, we do not use people's identities as insults." Tiny win number 2, try one micro connection. Send your older kid a low pressure text. "Thinking of you, love you," period. No lecture attached. No, "Also, we need to talk about your room and the biohazard growing under your bed." Nope, just connection. We love a text with no hidden agenda. Tiny win number 3, try one micro boundary. Before responding to a school email, family comment, news story, or social media post, pause for 1 full minute and ask, is this about my child's safety or is my nervous system trying to win the internet? That one might need to go on a sticky note. Tiny win number 4, try one ally building sentence. If someone tells you who they are, you do not have to understand everything to treat them with kindness and respect. Tiny win number 5, try one privacy question. Is this something you want help sharing or something you want to keep private for now? Pick one, one is enough. All right, friends, before you go, 3 favors. Favor number 1, leave a review for the show wherever you listen to Psych to Pair. It helps other parents of strong-willed, big-feeling, big-hearted kiddos find grounded support that does not shame them or their kids. Favor number 2, share this episode with a friend who loves their child deeply but feels scared of saying the wrong thing when Pride Month, identity, belonging, or being an ally questions come up. And favor number 3, grab the Volcano Feelings guide. It's linked in the show notes. When big feelings hit, your kid's thinking brain goes offline and long explanations make it worse. This guide gives you simple phrases to say in the moment so you can keep it safe and stay connected. In this episode, we talked about start line access, finish line belonging, and the kind of inclusivity that is not just a value on paper, but a practice. We talked about the 3-hour-long hike where this was heavy on my mind, the Ravo pin tucked in my pocket for my Tampa people, the kitchen counter text from another parent, and the kid who may be waiting to see whether home is safe enough for the tender stuff. Core reframe is this: your first response does not have to be perfect, but it does need to communicate safety. So this week, maybe your tiny win is one sentence of visible safety in the kitchen. Maybe it's one text that says, "I love you," with no lecture attached. Maybe it's pausing before you let your nervous system turn a tender conversation into a courtroom cross-examination. Maybe it is helping your child understand how to be an ally in the hallway, the group chat, the team, or the lunch table. Maybe it's protecting your child's privacy and remembering that support does not mean taking over the story. There is always room at the table for one more, and sometimes we teach that one tiny brave sentence at a time. And the next time you sit at that tiny round table in that tiny chair, remember, schools have expertise and you are the expert on your child. Your insight is not extra, it's essential. You're not behind, You're building a partnership and you're building skills, yours and theirs, one small, doable step at a time. Until next time, my friends. Thank you for hanging out with me on Psych to Parent. I'm Dr. Amy, your not so typical school psychologist, and I'm genuinely glad you're here doing this work instead of quietly white knuckling it and blaming yourself. Your tiny win from today's episode is simple. Do not overhaul your entire parenting style. Pick one idea, one sentence, or one tiny shift and try it in a low stakes moment this week. Then notice what changes, even if it is just by 1%. If you want more support, head over to psychtoparent.com. You'll find show notes, simple scripts, and parent-friendly guides that go with these episodes. While you're there, make sure you join the Tiny Wins mailing list so you get weekly brain-based tips, real-life examples from my work with families, and first dibs on new workshops and resources. It's the easiest way for us to stay connected beyond the podcast. If this podcast was helpful, it really does matter when you tap follow or subscribe. Leave a quick review or text it to a friend who is parenting a big-feeling, big-hearted kid too. This podcast is for education and encouragement. It is not therapy, and it's not a substitute for individualized care. If you're worried about your child or yourself, please reach out to a trusted professional in your area. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are building something new, one tiny win at a time. I'll see you in the next episode, probably with a cold coffee in hand, cheering you on.